Hey out there again, Nick Cicada here. Just an interesting little video tonight that I figured I would make in response to a comment that I seem to get pretty often. Not too often, but I do find it very interesting. Every now and again, when one of my videos breaks through the algorithm for whatever reason and happens to reach a couple more viewers than it would otherwise, there's inevitably some comment that's like, wow, this is a nice starting point. This is a neat place to start, and hopefully as you go, you can learn more technique and maybe improve your audio quality, or something along those lines. I find this comment really interesting because whoever makes it doesn't seem to take the time to visit my main channel page and realize that I have over 700 videos, and I've been doing this at this point for almost 6 years. I've been doing it since 2018. And these people don't seem to recognize that I've been at it for a long time. And so whatever the state of my current videos is probably how my videos are going to be for as long as I make videos. It isn't really going to get any better than this. Now, it's true. Do my videos have shit audio quality? Yes, undoubtedly. There's tons of background ambient noise from this hallway I'm in. Sometimes the heater is on. There's always this hissing buzz, just the noise of dust settling. But do I really mind? No. Am I going to go to all the trouble to buy a big fancy lavalier mic or one of those boom mics that a lot of the bigger YouTubers use? No, I'm not going to go to the trouble to buy a mic when my camera, my Olympus Tough F2O, has a built-in mic that works okay. I mean, you can tell what I'm saying, so I don't really care if there's a little ambient noise picked up in the background. Now that I think of it, for one of my videos, I think I did experiment with putting the audio of the video through a noise reduction filter, and it sounded really unnatural and bad. And I think the hiss adds a lot of charm and character to my videos that maybe you don't get anywhere else, and maybe you're not used to. Maybe you're not used to a professional type YouTube video with a little background noise, but I like the background noise, so I'm keeping it in. I've often wondered why it is that after 6 years of constant video production here on YouTube, I still have under 1,000 subscribers, and none of my videos really seem to take off. Certainly none of them go viral. None of them have continuous long-term growth that keeps viewers and viewer attention and all of that, and really propels me to the big time. I think what it is ultimately is that the subjects I tend to cover vary widely. I can't really resign myself to one type of video. I make movie reviews, I make TV reviews, I make book reviews every now and again. Sometimes I just make random shit. Sometimes it's a music video, other times it's just me talking about something that I'm interested in. And obviously the algorithm doesn't know what to do with this random slop that I feed it. I don't blame it for that. It wasn't designed for that. It was designed to promote channels that are consistent and have one type of video, an early success maybe, and then they just keep making that type of video over and over and over again. And for the life of me, I just can't do that, and I'm not even going to try because there's just too many interesting subjects that I want to cover on here. And even if a fraction of the people who could see it, then that's all that really matters. So long as there's 10 of you out there enjoying these videos, that's fine by me. You should feel special and honored to be in such a small audience. I do find it strange, though, that after 6 years, people still assume that I'm just starting out and that every video I post is like my first video, and I haven't been here before. I haven't been through this same exact rodeo hundreds of times. It's kind of weird that people always assume I'm an amateur, that I haven't been around the bend, and I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to video production. I think all of this ties somewhat into the expectation of what a YouTube video should be. A lot of people are used to a very specific image of a YouTube video, that being the lavalier mic, the crisp, clean audio, the 180 pixel resolution, and the like. People don't want to see a much more stripped back, amateur, candid type video like this, even though these type videos did make up a lot more of YouTube's essential material during the first initial years of the website, because the website was initially marketed as a proving ground for amateurs to test themselves and share their material with a like-minded audience of people who wouldn't be judgmental about it, but would just enjoy it because it was free, and there's nothing else free online at the time. I think YouTube videos have become way too fucking corporatized and sterile, and everyone treats YouTube like a business now, so you've got to make the most profitable decision possible, and you've got to just up your game and constantly up your production skills and shit. And it's not like this video doesn't have a pretty good production. I've got 2 lighting sources on me right now. I've got a tripod. I at the very least invested in a tripod. I have 1 light bulb covered up by my red robe, making a nice little reddish hue, and then I have a flashlight shining onto my face. I don't know how the effect looks, but it's probably pretty interesting, and that's why I chose it. And I'll review the footage and see how this looks, but it's not as if I don't put any thought into my videos. I do put a great deal of thought into their dynamic and their motion, and how to edit everything together into a satisfying end result. I just feel sometimes that YouTube videos can get sterile and repetitive if the people who make them only do it for money. In my case, I don't do it for money at all. I consider myself a mail-order cartoonist first and foremost, and these videos are just for funsies because my brain is constantly overactive and has ideas, and I gotta get these ideas out somehow. And I feel like videos are the best possible way to do that. The fact that people view YouTube as a profession, though, and that every YouTube video has to be this sleek, polished product, speaks to a wider problem of academic elitism in American society. The haves versus the have-nots. I've heard comments that my videos speak to a fundamental lack of how a video should be, or rather how a video essay should be. I'm not sure if I've ever referred to any of my movie reviews or book reviews as video essays. Maybe I did like once as a joke, but I in no way intend for these videos to be video essays. They're rants. They're extremely drawn-out monologues where I just talk into a camera for an hour or an hour and a half. They're not meant to hold any substance or weight in an academic sense, but I feel like that's sort of the expectation these days with YouTube videos, especially considering that video essays as a genre have become so trendy, because the average person is too incurious to look up a text essay. They've got to consume their essays in video form now. So I can see why the video essay has caught on, but at the same time, it's not a genre of video that I'm particularly versed in, and it's not a type video that I consume too often and legitimately enjoy. I don't like videos produced by dry academic types who cite all their sources and go, "Oh, I'm so much smarter and better than you. Look, I'm going to deliver my video like it's actually important and it's not just a shitpost. Wow, my video means so much more because I've gone to a fancy college." I'm not too big into that type attitude as somebody who's never gone to college, and I think this all ties back ultimately to academic elitism and the notion, especially in American society for whatever weird reason, that you're only a legitimate person if you choose to follow some form of higher education beyond high school, which I haven't. I've been 4 years high school free, and I never looked back, and I sure as fuck didn't go to college because I have no idea what practical benefit that could offer me. When I watch one of these so-called video essays, like a Big Joel video or whatever, I feel sort of like I'm being condescended to the whole time, like he really thinks he's better than everyone. There's this kind of disingenuous smugness that just leaks off the delivery of his words, and he talks like, "Oh, you might think this, well, here's actually this." I'm not sure what it's called or what the actual terminology for it is, but it's a very specific form of delivery that I just don't find very appealing. There's nothing relatable about it to me, it's not really down to earth or candid, and it doesn't seem very genuine. It seems very forced. Add to that the fact that nothing of what he covers is even all that interesting or thought-provoking, and most of it has been said 100 times. And then he'll talk about a tweet in like the same exact dry, detached tone, and it just kind of comes together into a clusterfuck of vapid emptiness. And I mean to drag those videos down a peg or anything. Maybe people like them, but what I find really interesting and really entertaining is to sort of pretend like I'm making the same kind of video, but then to just deliver my video with a really down-to-earth, normal type delivery, and not to use any of the smug intellectual buzzwords or any of the bullshit. I trim all the fat off, and then I'm just like, yeah, this is it. How you like this, sucker? And then the person who's watching just has to sit through it. I enjoy that. It's very subversive, I feel like. A non-college educated video essayist whose video essays aren't even really essays. I mean, none of these video essays probably meet the standards for like essays in an academic sense. It's just a buzzword, but I do like the idea that someone could click on one of my videos thinking that they're in for a big Joel experience, and then they realize, oh, it's this guy again. Damn it. I don't know, there's just something really funny about that to me. Getting back to college, I chose not to go to college mainly because I knew that there was nothing it could teach me as far as mail-order comics went. I knew that there wasn't going to be a mail-order comics course at the University of Denver. I'd only consider going to the University of Denver, not the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs or CU Boulder, because I wanted to stay in Denver. After 4 years of high school, I was done with any type of formal education. I turned my back on the institution, and I said, this just isn't for me. And high school is legally mandatory here in the United States, and you're expected to finish it, so I did. But after that, I was fucking done. I had had enough, and I knew that if I went to college, I would literally become the most miserable, sad person you've ever seen, as opposed to the absolute bundle of joy I've become. College is great if you want a really high-paying job that is incredibly commodified and common, like, say, you want to be an IT specialist, you want to be a data firm's analyst, or something really technical and fucking boring like that. You can probably even learn how to be an internet cartoonist at certain colleges and under certain circumstances, but you sure as fuck can't learn the techniques of how to become a mail-order cartoonist, how to sell your comics exclusively through a mail-order catalog, which is how I've always known I wanted to sell my comics. I don't want to sell them over the internet because I don't have a bank account. I want to receive fiat currency for my comics. How do I do that? College probably can't tell me, because college doesn't have the guts to admit that some people want to enter an exciting career in mail-order comics. Here on CU Denver's actual website, you can see that if you search for comics in their list of programs, they don't have any comics-related degrees or anything like that. What the fuck is up with this clown show? Higher education, my ass. College, as an institution of the state, only funnels people into jobs that are lucrative and make a lot of money and earn one a great deal of success and respect in a given field. They can't really shuttle you into jobs that are more obscure or niche or interesting or lead to greater diversity. Here in the United States, and I don't think this is by any means a worldwide phenomenon, I'm pretty sure this is only an American thing, college is viewed as a basic necessity, and we complain all the time about how college isn't free. I wish I had the time or energy to complain about that, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who really want college and could benefit from going to college. I do know there are a lot of idiots who don't know how to talk and don't know how to think for themselves and might legitimately benefit from going to college. But I personally don't need college, and I find the assumption that everyone in society needs to go to college patently insulting. Assuming that everyone in a society needs free college is kind of like assuming that everyone in society needs a free car wash. Not everyone needs a free car wash because not everyone has a car. Likewise, not everyone needs free college because not everyone starts out as a fucking idiot. I hear a lot that if I went to college I could interact with a lot of smart people and learn a lot, but honestly, if it's an environment where people feel like they need to go to be educated, then I can assume that they probably didn't start out very well educated and they kind of came into the factory as dullards. And maybe a lot of them do graduate as slightly smarter people, but I prefer to value intuitive intelligence over technical knowledge. That is to say, I value my innate humanity over acquired facts. I prefer being a non-college educated person because I think it gives me a much more level-headed, reasonable, grounded take on the world. Not only does it make me more reasonable and have less high expectations about what I'm going to be able to do with my life and how big of success I'm going to get, but it also makes me a lot more unique and interesting. Honestly, I would dread a world where everyone went to fucking college. That sounds like a nightmare. Just a society full of smug intellectuals who think they're all better than each other. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I hear that I do a lot from people who maybe don't understand how autism works and just think that I assume by default how I'm better than everyone. And sure, I'm better at writing than most people, and I'm better at a lot of other things than most people, but I didn't learn how to do that at college. I'm just damn good at it, and I do it a lot. Even so, if you think that I'm a smug narcissist, I suggest you look around a local college campus, and you'll probably find a lot more smug narcissist types who think that they're great because they've got their MFD or their PhD or their MHD or whatever. And I don't care about any of this nonsense. None of this stuff appeals to me any. I've heard from people who get upset when I bring up the fact that I have over a 1 million word count. I've written over 1 million words of text in my time as a writer. And they seem to think that I'm really smug and full of myself for referencing that I'm bragging. But we live in a society full of people who bring up their college credentials all the time and are like, wow, I'm a PhD in applied sciences in physics and a bachelor's in communication. And I'm like, you didn't learn to communicate when you were in kindergarten? You have to go to college to become a master in communication? What does that even mean? I mean, if you can bring that up and brag about that and pretend like you're hot shit because of that, why can't I use my word count as a metric for my creative output? Maybe not my intellect, maybe not my smarts, maybe not my IQ, but certainly my creative output. Creative output is markedly different from technical knowledge or expertise in a given field. I'm not going to be a jet scientist. I'm not going to save the world with my know-how or anything, but goddamn, I can write a good fucking novel, and I think we need to kind of value that more and value technical expertise a little less because society is honestly becoming completely insipid. Again, not worldwide. It's just an American thing for whatever reason that collegiate and academic types seem to be kind of propped up over the rest of the populace, to the point where college-educated scientists, maybe the most privileged and honored and publicly recognized profession it's possible to have in this day and age, actually talk down to me as a mail-order cartoonist and act as if I'm full of myself and I'm like privileged or something. I guarantee, as a mail-order cartoonist, I am viewed as lesser than spit by all of society. And the fact that college-educated scientists, people who earn a decent chunk of change per year, could feel persecuted or like they're on the bottom rungs of society, I don't know, I just find it somewhat humorous. I find it interesting, too, a certain comment I heard once that there is no longer a middle class, that there's only the ultra wealthy and then like the average American trying to get by. But I guarantee there's a middle class, and I'm definitely not in it. I exist in a state of abject poverty. I'm talking poverty so intense that you wouldn't even have a frame of reference for it. And I'm definitely not in the middle class. So I would say that, yeah, wealth disparity is probably growing in America statistically. The ultra wealthy are getting richer, and there doesn't seem to be so many people in the 500,000 to 200,000-ish type bracket anymore. Maybe it's moving down to like 80, 90, 70,000 a year. But, you know, I make a lot below that. I earn about $5 a month selling comics through the mail, so I would say I'm probably in the lowest possible bracket of the American economy. In years prior, I earned less than a prisoner stamping out license plates. They actually have to pay a regular wage for that in federal prisons and the like, and I was earning less than that selling my comics through the mail. So I would say there's still definitely a middle class in America, and that's a reductive oversimplification to just assume that everyone is versus the 1%, and there's no wealth disparity between the middle and lower economic classes. There absolutely still is. I've heard a lot that if I don't go to college and I don't pursue any form of higher education, my understanding of the English language will rot and my brain will just decay because I won't do anything with my life. Oh, I'm wasting myself, I'm wasting my potential. Well, I say I have to embrace that brain rot. I have to accept that it's inevitable. If my brain is wasting away, it'll be a damn interesting experience. Way more interesting than going to college. Imagine living a life so mundane and repetitive and empty and meaningless that the emptiness and meaninglessness of it becomes interesting in and of itself, and the self-perpetuating cycle just gnaws at you. Your entire brain just becomes a fever pitch, a buzzing insectoid mass. That's an interesting life to lead. Way more interesting than going to college, I'll tell you what. Truth be told, I don't think my brain is really decaying. I think more of what's happening is that I read and write a lot, and that's how to stay mentally healthy and active, and I talk a lot generally, and that's a nice way to keep your brain going, even if maybe you're not stimulating it with the juiciest facts from college, which, mind you, you have to accrue a ton of debt to get. You have to pay like $10,000 in student loans, which I'm not willing to do because I don't have that kind of money, because the only type of job I'm willing to participate in involves selling my comics through the mail. So I doubt I'd ever be able to pay back my student loans if I ever did go to college. And I find it somewhat disturbing that we're willing to accept a system that holds these facts behind a paywall. It's kind of fucked. You could just read some books, and you'd probably end up being reasonably intelligent. Maybe not a mastermind or anything, but I read a ton of books, and they make me a pretty sharp cookie, I like to think. I don't think I'm a clod. You might be asking, why aren't you willing to pursue any career besides mail-order comics? I mean, you could be a YouTuber. I can't be a YouTuber because YouTube is unwilling to send me money in the mail, which is the only way I really accept money, in cold, hard paper cash. That just happens to be a system of rigid thinking that I'm stuck with as an autistic person. I don't like checks or credit or debit cards. I just like paper money. I don't know why, and I'd probably make a shit ton more money if I was willing to accept alternate forms of payment, but I don't. So deal with it. Really though, the reason that I can't have any other job is because I don't like being told what to do by anyone except myself. And this stems back to the fact that as an autistic person in contemporary society, I have to fight to be respected by people. People talk down to me a lot, they condescend, they assume that I'm not as functional or as capable as they are. And if I really wanted to, if I had some form of incentive, like if there was someone I really cared about and they absolutely needed me to work, or if I was convinced that by getting a job I would substantially improve my standard of living from how it is right now, then I would. But until that point in time, I see no reason to. I don't like people telling me what to do, even if it's healthy and necessary for them to tell me what to do, because that is what the process of learning entails. I don't like being bad at something. Like, for instance, if I started working at a brewery, I would have to learn how the alcohol works. Scratch that, say a less complex job. If I was a bartender, I'd have to learn all the types of alcohol and how to pour a glass of alcohol. And I don't consume alcohol personally, so it would just make no sense to me. And everyone would have to give me advice and constantly tell me what to do. And maybe at the end of the process, say after 2 years, I'd be a damn good bartender. But I'd have wasted so much time and energy during the learning process, it would be like, well, what's the point really? I'm a great bartender, I can fix up a damn fine salted mojito or whatever, but what a waste of fucking time. And all I'm doing is pouring fucking drinks when I could be drawing comics, which is something that's actually awesome and that I'm actually good at. And it's a skill I already have and have had for my entire life, as opposed to just like, oh, you can learn this, you can spend a bunch of time learning this new thing that will take up space in your mind that's already racing along at 1,000,000 miles per second. No thanks, I don't need any excess knowledge to clog up the old noggin. I just need to think about drawing comics and focus on that for the time being, and for the remainder of my life. I really loathe the learning process. I don't like authority figures, generally. I despise people who think it's their role and their place to tell me what I can or can't do. And that's the only thing that can really progress me forward in life, is if there's someone to keep me in check and tell me that I'm not an invincible demigod, but at the same time, there isn't really anyone like that. It comes right down to it, I'm extremely full of myself, and I don't like people who are more full of themselves than I am telling me that I'm inferior or anything like that, which is all college would be. It would be an extension of high school where I would just be talked down to by professors instead of teachers, and the work would be a lot harder. I remember one specific experience in high school where my geometry teacher, I had taken geometry specifically because it was the easiest type of math, and I hate math. I think math is stupid. She was like, wow, Nick, you don't have to take algebra next year. You can go for AB calculus or BC calculus or one of those. And I was like, yeah, all things considered, I am legitimately smart and capable enough to probably get damn good grades in AB calculus if I was willing to memorize and internalize all that complete useless nonsense that has no application in my chosen career, which is mail order comics. But it would be a massive waste of my time, and I don't find math interesting. So yeah, while I could pursue that field, while I could go down that track, I'm just gonna pick algebra because it's the easier one, and I really have no aspirations mathematically speaking. I only have aspirations artistically, and I don't want to be told what to do. Even if I could do it, I'm not going to do it. Tough cookies. I do know I have a great deal of potential in the way that my mind works. It just so happens that all this potential isn't monetarily incentivized by contemporary society. There doesn't seem to be a very big mail-order comics market. It seems like the mathematicians and scientists get a lot more positions and appreciation and cred in society, at least at the current moment. Add to that the stereotype of autistic people presented in shows like The Big Bang Theory. It's like, ooh, all these autistic people, their rigid systems of thinking mean that they can be great scientists or mathematicians. They can really put themselves into this specific niche and be really successful in this given field. And I don't doubt that there probably are autistic people like that who have a very data-oriented mindset and are good at arranging numbers and shit. But as it happens, I have a chaos-oriented mindset. And my fixed patterns of thought aren't like, wow, I can invest my time and effort into AB calculus. My fixed patterns of thinking are like, I refuse to accept any form of payment besides fiat currency. And that's not as valuable a hang-up in today's society. What I mean by I have a chaos-oriented mindset is I'm really interested in succumbing to the maelstrom completely. I don't want to let my life become predictable. I don't want to fit into any box or anything. I just want to fling myself into a fucking tornado. That's what I'm after. I'm not after any clout. I don't want to win the Nobel Prize. I just want to draw comics my entire life, let loose, and deal with it. And I think it's really important and valuable in contemporary society to have someone around who's just willing to admit, yeah, math is fucking boring. Pick up a fucking paintbrush and take to the canvas, yo. I don't really see any value in college. I've got a high school diploma, so I could get just about any job I wanted to, but unfortunately there aren't any jobs currently that involve selling comics through the mail, except mine, which is the burden that I've decided to take on for the remainder of my natural life. And that's okie doke with me. I don't really see any other full-time mail-order cartoonists, at least not locally, although I doubt there are too many nationally either, so I hope to set an important precedent and be a good example for everyone who follows in my footsteps, and I don't really care what happens along the way, but I hope that the voyage is chaotic and unpredictable and doesn't box me in or classify me too much, because that sounds boring and lame. To summarize, I don't think college is evil or anything, and you might need it if you're kind of stupid and you don't know much and you maybe feel like, oh, I don't want to read. I want to be told what to do. I ingratiate myself with society really well. I can join a popular club and be Mr. Popularity. But in my case, I've never been Mr. Popularity. I wasn't popular in high school, and I knew that if I went to college, it's not like it would help me ingratiate into normal society or anything. I knew that I would still be, for the most part, an outcast and a reject, and just spend all my time doing meaningless work, just like I did in high school. I wouldn't be making any more friends in college than I did in high school, which I made no friends in high school, because nobody was interesting. And the same people in college would be the people from high school, just slightly older. So there was really no point for me, because it wouldn't achieve anything meaningful. In my case, I'm really glad I never went to college. Eat shit, college. Time to live. Time to go out into the fields and just fuck around. I lead a lifestyle of carefree abandon, and it very well might be driving me slowly insane, but that's the price you gotta pay for greatness sometimes. I need to remain a bastion of imperfection in an increasingly perfect world, because if I don't know if anybody will. These videos might appear amateurish, but I have a lot of fun making them, and rest assured, I've got my technique down pat. I don't need any video production professor or video essayist guide telling me how to make my fucking videos so that they're optimal or whatever, or get the most hella views. I don't need that. That won't even bring me any satisfaction, because at that point I'll have become a complete sellout and I'll be leading a completely different life than the one I currently live. I think it's very important to maintain a sense of humility and authenticity. Maybe I don't maintain the humility, but I hope to maintain the authenticity. I am kind of self-absorbed, but that's only because I haven't gone to college and I'm not around anyone most of every day. I'm here filming videos and drawing comics and creating the culture that nobody else is willing to create, because they're all at college and they're all talking about how to create the new crypto trend, and that kind of thing just doesn't interest me. Anyway, that's today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to go walk out into the void now. Have a fantastic night.